Welcome back, everyone. This is Thomas Triple T Ty with another new bullish crypto analysis. Let's dig in and find out what's happening in the crypto and stock market as it relates to Bitcoin. And we're back with the fancy charts. Let's check out the news. A new COVID variant has arrived in the U.S. It's been spreading across 40 countries, and I think 11 cases were found in California recently, and 90 or so cases have been found in the U.S. And it's first spread in Asia and Europe, and now it's spreading across. There's not much, they don't know much about it, but is this something to keep an eye on as it could cause some issues? The current Omicron version is not as deadly as the Delta, so if it's more like the current version, it shouldn't be too bad for the world. So hopefully, it's going to be that way. The situation with Russia and Ukraine, Blinken had delivered a written response to Russia over the Ukraine crisis. There weren't a lot of details released, but they're seeking diplomatic an end to that. But we'll see what happens. Something to keep an eye on. The FOMC meeting today, I believe I think the conference should have happened by now. I've been getting these stuff done, but it's I think it's just past 11 Pacific Standard Time, so the announcement should have been made already. But they're gonna keep the interest rate probably a little bit up. They're gonna raise it just a tad. I believe the first one's in March, but again, in the past, the first and second year, or most of the second year, the interest rate hike has very little impact on Bitcoin's price. And you can go back to 2013, 14, or something like that, and that is the case. So, but it doesn't change how people feel or like how investors feel. So the initial reaction or prior could be a lot of fear, a lot of FUD, but record shows that it's not going to have much of an impact. That could change though. It depends also on the world economy and different various factors, war and things like that. And this is an interesting news right here. Gibraltar could launch the world's first crypto stock exchange. What that means is that they're going to buy out the right here. They're planning to buy out, or at least take 80% stake in the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, GSX. And what they'll be able to do with approval from the government is to allow people to pay for their stocks using crypto. So that would be the world's first. Putin has been a fan of crypto and Bitcoin because a couple of reasons. One is that is a potential if you can link Bitcoin to oil, which Russia has a huge supply of, they could create a new oil currency, if you will, using crypto or Bitcoin backed. Because if you think about it, go back a decade, if you were to tie oil to Bitcoin since, like, let's say 2012 or something, imagine the amount of money they would have had they done that. However, on the central banks, like central banks everywhere, they haven't been friendly to crypto because it's a big risk for them. Russia's central bank has called for a complete ban on crypto because in the long run, with the way crypto can save money and reduce fees for people, there's really no need for banks. And not only are Russia's central banks are worried, the IMF, they're worried because their livelihood and their ability to control the movement of money across the world is at risk. I believe there was an article about the IMF asking El Salvador to discontinue using Bitcoin as a form of payment. And again, that's a threat to the IMF, and the IMF control money flow around the world. So, yeah, I think what's happening here is Putin is, calling for some kind of agreement in Russia, because not only are they a huge producer of oil that can be tied to Bitcoin, should the U.S. Put sanctions against them and reduce their access to the supply, the money flow, like SWIFT in the world, they could use that as a hedge. Also, Russia is one of Bitcoin's biggest mining area, so that would, make that would reduce the amount of money that could be invested in the company, and the amount of money they could make there too. So I think he's moving in the right direction, but I can understand why their central banks are calling for a ban. Let's take a look at the market. The equities market was predominantly green today ahead of the FOMC announcement, so that's good. Tech stocks is back in the green, like almost everything is in the green with a few exceptions here, so that's looking good. But crypto market is mostly green. Bitcoin rose a lot over last night, and Ethereum, we got Luna still in the red. That's just so strange. ADA's picking up. ADA was around $1 recently. That's a good buy for ADA. I'll do an update on the analysis for ADA soon. But yeah, if you can get ADA around $1, more than likely it will go back to its all-time high, just above $3. That's a 3x. And that's the end of the news. So let's dive in and take a look at some charts. This is TradingView at on the 30-minute time frame. And what we're looking here is Bitcoin's performance against the market. So I added several lines here because I started adding the international markets in here as well. So here's Bitcoin on the upper left-hand corner. Let me increase this, zoom in here. So the far left line here, very faint white line, is just to help me align all the charts together, because there are a lot. And because of time zone differences and market opening time and closing time are different across the world, I had to figure out a way to do this. And the middle line is when the market last opened. And this green line is when the market opened today. So Bitcoin has been, in the last 24 hours, has been rising, and it went almost up above near 39, I believe. Yeah, up all the way up here. Yeah, 39, like close to 39, and dropped back down. So it's on the increase. But what's interesting about, and then it dropped down after it hit 39. It's currently at 38.2 or something like that. And I mentioned in one of my previous posts on Twitter that the area after it goes above the resistance zone level that I identify in a chart, there's not much resistance there, so it could easily go up, and that's exactly what it did. What's interesting down here with the Dixie is that Bitcoin was rising right here. So typically the Dixie has a negative correlation. So as Bitcoin was rising, the Dixie was rising too. That's strange. That's unusual, because they usually move in the opposite direction. So this period right here is really strange. And the Dixie drop right here, I should, hang on, make it easier for you to see. So the Dixie dropped here after market opening, and Bitcoin kind of increased right there and then dropped as the Dixie went up. So for a short period, they moved together. That's strange because that's not normal. Let's go down to the 10-year bonds. We have it was consolidating pretty much in the last 24 hours, and then it had a sudden drop right here. I believe this is when FOMC announcement was released, and you can see the decrease, big, huge down candle, red candle. And that's when Bitcoin jumped right there. Let's go over here to the tech sector. Since the last 24 hours, it went sideways, and then it went up, and then at market opening, it went opened down and then went up. So it's trending upward since it's opened this morning. Same thing with the Nasdaq. Same thing with the S&P 500. Since 24 hours ago, it rose, dropped before closing, and then this morning it started out with a drop, and then it went slightly up. Same thing with the Dow. Went up. The Dow is looking really nice. Went up from 24 hours ago, and it's continued to go up, even though after opening it dropped back down slightly, but went back up. So the stock market is looking really good. Bitcoin is looking really good. But I would be really careful still on going forward. We don't know what's going to happen. Different factors could drop the price back down. It's likely that price could come back into the 30s or possibly into the upper 20s for Bitcoin. So keep those options open. Let's go take a look at okay. This is again a duplicate chart for BTC, so we can compare it to other countries' indexes. So here we have the CAC index from France, and you can see in the last 24 hours it's been rising, and then it dipped. The market's currently closed, but 24 hours it rose, and it took a dip right here, and then it closed. It had a little white candle, green candle here, and it rose. Basically, it rose with Bitcoin, right there. So we want to keep those patterns in mind. You can see also back since the 20th, Bitcoin dropped, they dropped. So interesting correlation there. Over here with the DAX, which is an index in Germany, you can see here it dropped too along with Bitcoin, and then it went up along with Bitcoin. So as I move up, you can see, I'm not sure you can see my cursor line on the other charts, but as this go up, Bitcoin went up, and then it dropped slightly before it closed here. Same thing with here in the last 24 hours. It followed very similar pattern. All three of these exchanges. This one right here is from the UK. This is the UK 100 index. Same pattern. Dropped with Bitcoin. Went up with Bitcoin. So interesting. Okay. And then it closed and it dropped here. Yeah, drop. All right. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the Asian markets. And you might be wondering, why the heck am I looking at different markets around the world? Well, Bitcoin is worldwide, and so it's just not the U.S. market that's impacting the Bitcoin. So we gotta take a look at a more global view to give us, because those markets tie into Bitcoin as much as the U.S. market, although the U.S. market probably get the most attention. So here's again Bitcoin up here. This one is Australia. Australia is interesting. This is SPDR. It's the ASX 200 funds, index funds. So you can see here since the 20th, it's been dropping and just dropping. It's not going up or down at all. So they're having a tough time there. But Bitcoin dropped and then reverted back up, but it didn't do it here with the SPDR S&P. So that's interesting. Let's take a look at this one. This one is the Nike. I don't know how you pronounce that, but Nikkei, maybe Nikkei. I think that sounds right. Nikkei. So this is the Nikkei index from Japan. You can see when Bitcoin dropped since the 20th, it kind of goes sideways and then went up right here as Bitcoin dropped, and then went down as Bitcoin rose. I'm not sure there's much of a correlation there, but good, worthwhile to take a look. This next chart here on the upper right, by the way, this is a 30-minute time frame trading view. Right here is South Korea, the KOSPI composite index. So let's take a look. Since the 20th, it dropped with Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin hit a bottom, and this KOSPI index continued to drop, and it continues to drop as Bitcoin rose back up. So it's still tanking. Its tanking is very similar to Australia. So South Korea here, very similar to Australia. Let's go to Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index. Let's go back to the 20th. 20th, Bitcoin drops. It kind of went down and up, and then as Bitcoin went down, it kind of went sideways, and in the last 24 hours, Bitcoin rose. It kind of consolidated and dropped, and then it went up. Just pretty much, if you look at this as a whole, it's pretty much consolidating sideways as Bitcoin was rising. On the STOXX 600 index, this is an index of the world's 600 companies across 7 countries. And so let's take a look. Since the 20th, Bitcoin dropped. It also dropped, hit a floor as Bitcoin hit a floor. So this is interesting. So this probably has some U.S. companies in there, especially big companies, like tech companies. So it dropped along with Bitcoin, hit a bottom, just like Bitcoin, went up slightly, right there, sideways. Bitcoin kind of went sideways there, and they went up as Bitcoin rose, went sideways as Bitcoin continued to rise. So there's some correlation here. I can see why, due to U.S. companies that are in here, especially large ones. Okay, so that takes care of an overview of the different markets in the world. Let's take a look at Bitcoin charts here on TradingView. This one is, we're gonna take a look at we can ignore the weekly because, well, it hasn't changed much. It looks like the last time we reviewed the weekly chart. So let's go to the daily chart. I'm gonna move this out so you can see away from my face. All right, here we go. So the daily chart still trending in the descending channel here, and it's going towards the resistance level in this channel. And we went on here at least in this time frame since December the 1st. So almost 2 months time frame here. You can see some volume levels here. So up around 47, up around 47. There's a lot of action up here. Also up here, 41 area. That's a lot of action here too. So you can expect some it could be a resistance up here. If it goes back up to this line right here, you can see maybe some resistance, and it could bounce down. Or if it breaks through, expect some resistance here, and see if it will bounce down. So it's good to use the volume levels here to figure out at what price range we have a lot of action. That's pretty much. Let's see on the daily how the indicators are doing. We still, we bounced off of the bottom of the Bollinger Band and going up, so it's continued to happen there. The KDJ, the J line, white J line, is continued to fan up above the other two, so that's still bullish. The MACD line, which is the white line down here, is curving up and about to cross the signal red line, and you can see the histogram here getting shorter and shorter, and it should turn whitish soon if this pattern continues. Down below we have the RSI, which is red. We have the CVD, which is the aqua line here, and the momentum, which is the white line. All three are continue to trend up, so that's bullish. When the CVD, which is cumulative volume delta, is increasing, that means we have more demand than supply, so that's a good trend. But we're still below some of the recent periods here. So here, so it's looking bullish on the daily chart. Let's go to the hourly chart, which should be more interesting. Okay, move this out to make sure that you can see. Okay, so you can see here on the hourly chart, it drops down here, goes back up. So a couple of things, and then that is currently at 38.1K. You can see wicked up here. That was around 30, almost 39. Yeah. And then we'll take a look at the heat map soon, and we'll see what took place there. So it's going up. The big rise here, consolidated, then big rise here. Here's the channel that we had. It adjusted for it previously, and it's consolidated within that channel. Now it went above. Now you can see what was resistance prior is now the support level. So if it stays above this line, then going up here should be pretty easy, potentially. And then we might have some resistance here at around the 41K level, 41.5 or so, 41.9, 41.7. So so you can see this horizontal channel on the hourly chart was previously down here, and then we moved it up, and then now we probably need to move it up again. So, but let's see for a couple hours and see how it's able to stay above this dash line here. And if it continues to do that, then we'll change it and create another support level here and move this line up and make it a resistance level. But we'll see. On the down below here, let's take a look at the KDJ line. On the hourly chart, the J white line is fanning below the K and the D line. So that's bearish on the hourly chart. So it could mean that in the next few hours or 1 hour, it could go down, but then it could swing back up within an hour. So on the lower time frame, things change so fast. On the MACD, we currently are trending bearish. The MACD line, white line, is trending, crossing the red signal line and going down, but that could revert within a few hours too. So pretty bearish looking on the hourly chart for the next few hours, because it did have a pretty big rise. On the RSI, which is red, CVD, which is aqua, and MOM indicator, they're all trending back down. So pretty bearish for based on what the indicators are shown on the hourly chart. Let's go to derivatives, perpetual futures from Coinalyze. Time frame is 4 hour to give us a better perspective, but at least zoomed out far enough that we get some ideas of what's happening. The predicted funding rate is currently negative, which means shorts are paying a premium to longs to hold their positions. So as price and as price and open interest up here for backed by stable coins is swinging back up, and the aggregate funding rate that's not a predicted, but the actual ones is also negative. So very similar to the predicted funding rate here. So what that means is that as price may want to move up to liquidate the shorts, and a bunch of them got liquidated, and we'll take a look at that in the liquidation levels map. So potentially price may continue to increase to liquidate the shorts as open interest increase here. But that's, that could be like 24 hours versus the hourly chart, which showed a more bearish sentiment. Let's take a look at the liquidation levels. This is Binance Perpetual Futures liquidation levels. And what you want to see here, what's important here is it was in the red down here, the aggregate, the cumulative liquidation level delta, it was red. What that meant was that there were more longs that could, there were more shorts that could get liquidated than longs. But it flipped. As price went up and up and up. Now we have more longs, which are these levels below the price line here. They came in. A bunch of them came in. So a bunch of them came in here. And now there are more longs, open interest that could get liquidated. More long levels. Here, you can see them. Like these were open just now. Like this one right here. That's longs at 25x at 154 million. So all these right here, more than likely they can get liquidated, but at the same time you get some shorts up here, liquidation level for shorts here. This red one, that's 100x at 55 million. And price doesn't have to move far to liquidate these people. So short term it could go up. So 40k is up here. That's reasonable. It went to 40, almost 39. So it's reasonable to go up here and liquidate all these. It's reasonable to go down here and liquidate a lot of people. So the potential is bigger for profit if the price was to move down to liquidate these in the perpetual futures. So I wouldn't be surprised if I've been waiting for price to go down this way. Because this move up here, I'm not so sure that's organic. But if it isn't, it's going to drop back down potentially fast, and it's going to clear out a lot of these liquidation levels. So smart money could come in, take an opposing position on the short, just to liquidate these by dropping price down and collect a lot of profit in the short term. So it could go up slightly, and it could also go down big time. So expect that. Expect both. All right, let's go and look at the heat map. You can see here, this is 10:15 as of the 26th. So that's earlier today. Let's zoom out a little bit. You can see here, it went up, Bitcoin went up, Bitcoin went down, Bitcoin went back up, but kind of like, staying in that channel. And then it went down, and then bam, look at that, it shot up. And this is where 39 is. You can see there is a wall right there. And some of that wall helped absorb some of that, and price went down. So let's zoom in and see what happened. I'm going to turn on the CVD cumulative volume. So you can see here, zoom in some more so you can see. So as price reached near 39, you can see that wall, it stayed. It stays. Some of it moved. You can see the spoof yellow wall here, but it's pretty much remained still. Absorbed some of the buy orders, and then there was more sell pressure than buy. So there was more supply than demand. So price dropped, and you can see some of these orders here. That's 231. This one was 87. This one was 203 on the red bubbles. Those are giant sell orders here. So yeah, somebody was waiting for that to come up here and then sold. You can see here the demand went up and dropped right alongside with these. So these this is the volume. It pretty much almost replicates the movement of the price. And so now volume is pretty low relative to where it was. You can see that like the big dip in volume. Demand just tanked. Here demand is way below what it was over here. So if demand continue to tank, what that could mean is that price could drop further. So you want to take all these factors into account. Maybe I hope you can see it. Okay. Don't want to block it. So that pretty much takes care of an overview of the crypto and equities market and what's happening. I want to zoom in here for a second here. Actually, I should zoom out. I'm going to take the volume away, and then I'm going to zoom out so you can see the different levels here before I end. And if you remember previously, we didn't have any walls, sell walls above the price line. Now we do. We have one at 39, we have one at 41, but you can see that it faded right there. It was a solid wall here as price was rising, and then it faded out as price was dropping. A large portion of that was a spoof. Same thing with here. You got a spoof wall here at 39, and you see how the colors change to a lighter color in here. So some of what was taken away. You have a spoof wall here happening right here, trying to suppress price down, but we have a solid buy wall down here to keep price up. This is 69 and 88 and 77 right below in this area. So lots and lots of demand down here. So down below, let's move this up so you can see. Okay, so 31. We have a level at 31 buy level, and a big solid one still here at 30 at 120. Well, at 1,268. That's a pretty big one. So there's some expectation that it's gonna still drop down here. So keep that option. Keep that option open. Down here at 29, we have 216 in size. We have 29.5. I mean, at 29 we have 820. That's a decent wall. 28 we have 500, and at 25 we have 343 in size. So that gives you an overview of some of these buy walls down here and a couple sell walls up here. Not much as far not as big of walls up here as the buy walls down here. All right. Thanks for joining me today. I'll get some more videos out. I could not put all of them into this video because it would have ran way too long. So if you found value, go ahead and smash the like, ring my bell, and hit subscribe. Thanks. I appreciate your time.